Tell me what is going on here? I don't know, get an idea.
So basically, it's a training camp, right? So the biggest, I like to talk about problems, because I think, from a business perspective, if you're able to solve a problem, you have a business. So, obviously, I've been in football for a long time and always trying to see how we can improve the sport in general. And the biggest problem in the game remains development. Make the mistake, make it twice, make it thrice. Don't make it the whole training session. We can speak about lack of resources and all the fancy things and secondary and maybe tertiary issues. But the primary problem is coaching. And if you look at the general consensus around football, players are being coached or teams are being coached by somebody's dad who is not a full-time coach. He has a job. He comes from work to come and coach. He volunteers. He does it for free. A lot of the time, spends his own money. And that coach, a lot of the times, has a family back home. So the socio-economic issues around that, or the social eco issues around that is, or even the psychosocial issues, is that the parent or the coach comes straight from work. He finishes work at 5. He gets to the training ground at 5:30. Training starts at 5. So for the first 30 minutes, the kids are kicking around with no structure. When the coach gets there, they only actually train for 30 minutes because by 6 o'clock it's dark. So the biggest thing I realize is where are our kids actually getting coaching from? They're not being coached. This is the reason why the standard of the game is low. The ones who do coach full time are the ones that have players who are really progressing. So there's a couple of local coaches here in PE who have soccer schools. There's a couple of local coaches here who've coached at a higher level.
Quality. I think it's really good. Are we allowed to make mistakes? Who said no? Yo, Maslan, you must buy a video.
Who have a very broad knowledge of the game, and they are the ones who are actually really improving players. But then the vast majority don't get proper coaching, and this is why I've started Train Like a Pro, is because I want to try and travel around the country, hopefully have the backing through sponsors and so forth, to try and coach as many kids as possible to teach them what a good training session looks like, what to focus on, and then more importantly, how to coach themselves. So I want to give kids enough information so that they can actually coach or put together a training session without their coaches being around, without the parent being around. Because at the end of the day, they need to take responsibility for their own development. And a lot of the times it's not even about training, it's actually about playing. Because when I was a youth player, I don't think I actually got proper coaching until I was coached by a guy by the name of Bruce July. And I think I was 17 or 16 at the time. So up until then, I learned through playing in the streets, playing in the park, playing at school, during break times, before school, after school. But my form of learning wasn't through training, it was through playing. And the honest truth, if I had to start getting proper coaching at a younger age, I would have been a lot better at my senior level. And this is what I'm trying to do now, is tell the kids, you don't need a coach to train. Go and play on your own. And then I also want to formulate training sessions that are simple enough for them to conduct on their own. So this is the point of this training camp.
Practice, this,
10,000 hour rule.
You're standing,
I
you'll be
spoke to
coach
some of
standing,
these guys
in the
also,
middle.
like when was it, in last week?
Yeah.
I think I interviewed about 2 of them.
Okay.
And the one thing that I heard is they're not currently playing for professional teams. They're not playing for how do you pull these guys? Where did you get them from?
So look,
the specific group.
this group of players,
Just before you answer
Yeah.
that. So obviously you have the 3 sessions on a daily basis. You have the juniors, which is the under 11s.
under 13.
Under 13s, under 15s, and under 18s.
Yeah.
Okay. So who decided who's this group of individuals, or where do they come from?
So they've all signed up, so it's a registration process. We only have a max capacity for 60 players. So essentially 20 players per group. So that
like a first come, first serve basis.
100%, and then if we get to reach our 60 mark, which we did, then there's no more space left, because essentially I didn't want to make it too big and then I have to bring more coaches in. This program is a one-man show, so it's me teaching these kids how to train. And even a lot of the times people say like 20 is a big ratio to coach at a young age group. But my point is, I don't want to be fully present in every grid. So if I have 20 players and I divide them into 4 groups of 5, I want to be able to coach everyone and then walk to every station or to every group and go and drop a reminder, go and leave a coaching point, go and leave an instruction, go and assist 1 or 2 individuals that are struggling. But when I'm working with that group for that 2 or 3 minutes, I want the others to be able to carry on. And like I say, they must be able to coach themselves because I've given enough information for them to work with. The other thing you don't also want to do is dumb kids down where they must be fully dependent on the coach being present, where they must hear the coach's voice all the time. No, let me give you information, dissect, work with it, experiment, play around, remember what the coach said, you know, and then use that. A lot of the times I'll say to the players, correct each other's mistakes. If the pass is too soft, say, Jason, your pass is underweight, pass it harder. You passing skew, your head is down, get your head up. So now they learn to coach each other. And in them coaching each other, they're educating themselves and reminding themselves of what is supposed to be done, you know. If we go to the psychosocial element of development or performance factor, there's 6 performance factors. It's technical, tactical, physical, mental, psychosocial, and nutritional. If you're going to the psychosocial element, it means what happens around you on a daily basis. Who is your sphere of influence? What are your friends like? What do they speak about? What are their parents like? What are morals and values were instilled from their parents to their kids? You know, who are your best friends? What are your parents like? Your parents abusing each other at home? Do they always swear? Do they always shout you when they teach you, or can they coach you in a normal manner? So I realized when I coach these kids, they used to being hard on, because that is how we grew up as colored people in the northern areas, for example. We only concentrated when somebody shouted, because now we know we need to be serious. But why can't we be serious without being shouted at? I try to give them the soft coaching, but I realize it doesn't work. So I need to coach them the way they understand, which is stern and tough love. You know, where in other regions in the country, you don't need to have tough love because kids understand information. Some kids are better listeners and have better comprehension skills. You know, so yeah.
What do you think is going to happen when you leave, though? I think, for me, that is it's a very important factor that someone needs to take,
Sustainability,
to take
yeah.
into consideration, because as soon as you can come here for those 14 days and do as much as you possibly can, is there any way that we can ensure, or you can ensure, or anyone can ensure that these kids maintains the standard that have been instilled during this 14 days?
Look, to be honest, I think that the way I'm running this program is probably the most effective way of doing it. I could have easily done a coaching workshop with the coaches.
Yeah.
But like I said, sometimes the problem is the coach, and not on purpose. I explained, you know, the circumstance of a coach having to come from work to get to a training ground. So I'm saying I don't want to educate the coaches. I want to educate the players directly so that they can train themselves. So my main thing is a lot of these training camps around the country are normally done on a weekend. It's a 3-day program and it's done. I'm doing 14 days. It's a lot of information that I'm giving these kids. And at the end of the day, the test for them is, will you remember these things? Their parents also have access to me on social media and on my WhatsApp. So a lot of the times I've said to the parents, they can come to me and ask me for training drill. But a lot of the drills I'm going to give them is something I did already. So I don't need to coach it. It serves as a reminder. So if we did position 4v1, you know, keep the ball. I taught them about always receive with your furthest foot, always pass towards the furthest foot. I taught them different ways of receiving and passing the ball. I spoke to them about their decision making. Sometimes you can play fast, sometimes you can play quick. So I've left them with the information. The only thing that I probably need to still do is maybe just stay in contact with them so that I can serve as a reminder, or I can be a form of reminder to them, because they know what to do, but they're kids, so they will forget. And then I can always just say, guys, hey, remember the session? Oh, yes, coach, we do remember. And now they just need to practice it. And if they keep practicing the stuff that we've done on a weekly basis, muscle memory will kick in through the repetition. Then I actually really don't need to be there now, because they're training everything that we've done. Like a lot of, when I became a coach at, I was 19 or 20, I moved to Cape Town and I coached at Wynberg Boys High School, which was my first coaching gig. And I was a player while I was coaching. But the first training drills and sessions that I conducted were things that I learned from other coaches. It wasn't things that I've come up with myself. So this is what I want to teach the kids is that you can, because I was a player when I was a coach. At the age of 25, I was coaching a semi-pro club and I was also a bus driver of that club, PE stars, and I was coaching guys that were older than me. I was also a player coach. So sometimes when we shorten numbers, or I was a defender. So if the defense is struggling and we really don't have somebody who can do the job there, I throw myself in. But again, I became a coach very young because I saw a need. There was a gap. But at the end of the day, if the player has almost as much information as the coach does, he can coach himself. And that's what I'm big on. I want to give you boys information so you can coach yourselves.
Sure, there's a lot to take in,
It
a lot
is.
to think about it.
Your
in
question
the
was valid.
yeah, in the northern let's take in the Eastern Cape or in GQ specifically. Do we have the necessary structures in place in order for something like this to develop further? That why I'm asking that is that you obviously come in from Johannesburg, right? And yes, you mentioned the fact that from a player's perspective, the idea is obviously to get the players to do things themselves. However, there still needs to be some sort of foundational structure or what's the word that I'm looking for? Accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah. So from a sense of accountability. The thing is that each and every one of the players that are signed up here, they're not all in the same team. You understand what I mean? They're not all from the same background. They various and stuff like that. So, and yes, this is your first. It's the first session. It's the first one
camp.
that you're doing.
Yeah.
First camp that you're doing. So I understand that there's still a lot of things that you might want to do moving forward and so on. My one of my biggest concerns is the fact that is the sports association or the soccer association doing what they need to do in order for us to be able to develop these kids to where they need to be. And I don't want to, and I'm not, the thing is not here for me to put anyone down.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
to belittle anyone or to say, hey, you're not doing a job or whatever the case may be. We just need to understand as where we are now and where we need to be.
Yeah.
To get the kids to where they need to
Look,
be.
I think, to be honest with you, there's a lot of quality coaches out there, right across the country. But a lot of the times, our quality coaches end up getting jobs in other sectors, outside football.
Outside PE. Yeah. Oh, in other sectors.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because there's not enough paying jobs in football.
Yeah.
So the only way you can earn a living in football is if you work at a professional setup that pays you, or you create your own business in a development structure like soccer schools or a football club where you charge fees and but a lot of the times, even with clubs, the money you make is to run the club. You can maybe pay small stipends here and
not
there.
to pay for it. Yeah.
Exactly. So my thing is I do a lot of private coaching and I run it as my private business. So I'm obviously qualified, I'm resourceful, I'm knowledgeable, and people pay not just for the quality of the coaching, but everything else that comes with it as well. And I'm fortunate enough to have built up a brand that is attractive, that allows me to charge a fee and people are willing to pay for that. Where for years I've been coaching for free, but people are not willing to do that. I was willing to coach for free. I'm 32 years old now. I've been willing to coach for free since the age of 20. You understand? And I only started charging for my coaching maybe 2 years ago. But prior to that, I would do free coaching. I would work at clubs. I started clubs with friends and colleagues. But I've always worked for free within football, and it's very difficult because imagine your family and people, they depend on you, saying to you every single year, wanneer gaan jy regte werk kry? Jy kan nie aanhou die goed te doen nie. So, but it's not easy for somebody who doesn't have a brand to go and start something and say, I'm charging for it. People are going to be like, who are you? People are only willing to pay for something that is tried and trusted. It's valuable. It's difficult to attain. It's hard to acquire. You want those things, and you're willing to pay for it. But not anybody can just say, I'm going to start something. They're not going to get numbers in. So I've been working for free for years, building credibility. And now that I'm credible and I'm trustworthy and people know what to expect when they hear my name, now I can fortunately charge because I'm giving value. People know what they're getting. So to answer your question, it's the reason why there's not enough people contributing to football is because most people have to do it on a voluntary basis and are not prepared to do that because they have families to feed and lives and kids and it's busy for them, so it's hard. So we don't have enough people contributing to football, which is why football is not as good as it should be within our country at amateur level. So yeah, so I just feel like, if we can get more people of quality in terms of coaching willing to volunteer and give up their time, um, you know, that is where we're going to improve because I feel like we don't have enough coaches availing themselves. And then a lot of the ones who are doing it are just dads who are trying to serve because no one else is willing to do it. Yeah. So their knowledge is a bit limited, but they're doing their best, and this is why people like myself who's in the game professionally, I'm doing these camps, but I'm saying to myself, how can I try and make it as sustainable as possible? The question you asked was brilliant because I always think about it. I don't want to just come there, do something and leave. How can I come there, make a huge impact, and when I leave, it can still carry on, sustainable, And I said that, well, let me do a 14-day camp instead of a 3-day camp because for 14 days, I can get a lot more into you.
Yeah.
And then the nice thing is I'll always allow you to have access to me so that, coach, I just wanted to find out when I'm struggling with this. How can you please guide me? How can I improve? Yes, remember that drill we did? Oh, yes, coach, I do remember. Keep doing that drill. You're going to fix it. Boom. So that's my sustainable model to it is you have access to me. But when you call me, I'm not going to teach you something new that you're going to struggle with. I'm going to teach you something I taught you already.
Yeah.
And you know at what level it must be done at. So there's the sustainability.
You could have done this in Joburg. Why did you decide to come to GQ?
I'm a big fan of giving back. I'm a big fan of helping my people. My family is still in PE. And I hardly come back home because I work throughout the year.
Yeah.
So December, fortunately enough, I do have an opportunity to come back. And I thought, while I'm here, instead of just sitting and relaxing the whole December, let me actually try and, use that time wisely. So that's why. And then also I want to create opportunities for kids. I mean, I'm in a position now where, I work for the biggest agency in the country and I'm creating opportunities for top players. But the reason why those players are top is because somebody invested in them. So I want to come and invest here so that one day I can also say that I took a boy from Galvin or because I'll proudly say one of my mentors is Bruce July and he's known to have produced majority of the professional players that have come from PE in the last 15 years. So if I can mention a couple of names, Wade Jooster, Denwin Farmer, Genovan September, Ronaldo Marman, Q Prince. These old boys that come from the northern areas, some boys from the Kasi, so Milan Tunswana, Tabo Jacobs, Tando Jacobs, Nkiva. A lot of these boys are all coming out of Bruce's hands and his work. But now he started a football club, which is called the Bay Football Club, and that's become his main focus. And I basically just said, I want to take the baton from him and carry on with the good work that he's done. So like we know, we come from a church background, and we firmly believe in, the latter shall be greater than the former.
Okay.
So he's really given me a lot of advice, knowledge, teachings, mentorship, guidance, and I'm using that now to carry on with it. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, man.